Following program are pre-recorded.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to beck.tv plus stuff. Yeah. Okay, I haven't done this for a while.
Beck TV, I know, right? Beck TV plus. Yeah.
Because I had an election and they can't be on the air, I guess, when you're having... Anyway, so...
Good to have you back, though.
Yeah, so, all right, and thank you for Jason for filling in because you and Jason had some great conversations.
Yes, we did.
And tell you what, I like being gone sometimes because it gives a different perspective and people ask different questions. So I think it's good for the audience and the listeners to get a different perspective on things. All right, so...
We had some elections.
We had this election thing. And not that I like him because I hate him, but which hate's a strong word, but I don't think strong enough in this case. Stephen Colbert, the day after, was like, did something happen yesterday?
Oh, man.
A
tectonic shift.
I got to watch it over the weekend because I actually set my DVR and recorded The View on Wednesday morning.
On purpose? I think you and everybody else did.
I got to watch that.
They got their best ratings ever because everybody wanted to see the car crash. So, so.
Okay, so one request, and I know you've got connections as the state party woman.
National committee woman.
If there is any way whatsoever to maybe put a bug in somebody's ear about a cabinet position, please, Lord, let Joe Rogan be the press secretary. Please. One Christmas present. That's all I want Joe Rogan as Trump's press secretary.
It would be.
That would be the best press secretary ever in the history of press secretaries.
Even if he just did it for 3 months, just to, just to chew up and spit out the press corps, right?
It would be so entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my one little wish from this. All right, I digress. But there's a lot that has gone on from and here's my takeaway from the election. Everything aside, and I don't care that Trump won. I don't care that Trump got the electoral college because I know what the argument was going to be. It was the popular vote.
It was the popular vote. That was a big deal.
That's what pulled the rugs out of the liberals. That's when, because the conversation was already teed up. It's like, and we have to get rid of their electoral college. No,
and they just destroyed.
You got your asses handed to you because you left your base. You left your constituents. You do not have what you think you've been. I was watching a comedian over the weekend, and just like everybody, as per our Constitution, has a seat at the table. And the comedian was, I don't think most people get up in the morning and the first thing that they think about is, I wonder if the LGBTQ community is okay this morning. You know what? They're Americans like everybody else.
It's the economy, stupid.
And we should all be equal.
It's the economy, stupid.
That's not the messaging from the left.
It was really, really poorly done. That was a terribly mismanaged campaign.
Did you read the article? I believe it was last Thursday that came out in the New York Times. Because I was watching I
generally do not try to read the New York Times.
Okay, but this summed it up completely. Because I'm watching all the different Democratic pundits trying to... it wasn't damage control or it wasn't spin. They were trying to go through and go, okay, what happened? And digest that. And it was the popular vote that really pushed them over the edge. But, most of them have realized that, the messaging wasn't right. The messaging wasn't connected to people who cared about the economy.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
People that you have nothing to do with a dock worker in Texas or a production...
Well, those are no longer their constituents.
A production line worker in Detroit. Yep. You just don't. And the New York Times article came back to basically, and I'm paraphrasing, and this is the reason the Democrats lost, Kamala Harris lost, because they did a poor job of connecting to people who are not as connected to how evil Trump was. down the stretch.
That was their only talking point.
Wait a minute. If you can't learn that this is a teachable moment.
This is a good thing. I mean, this is
a teachable moment. And you know where I'm at with supermajorities. I like that we're close like this on a national level. Mm-hmm. I wish we were a little closer on a state level. It's good for people. It's good for taxpayers. It's good to have a discussion back and forth. You don't want it way out of whack. Things work best in equilibrium. I will always say that. And I think we're out of equilibrium in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. But that was the message from the New York Times. Like, y'all didn't learn.
Nope.
You didn't learn.
Which is good for the Republicans because that means that they're going to probably double down. That's what the
All right, I have to ask you a question because maybe my second Christmas gift 4 years from now.
Do you have somebody, J.D. Vance?
It's going to be hard to beat a Vance Tulsi Gabbard ticket.
Uh-huh.
It would be really hard to beat a Vance Tulsi Gabbard
ticket. You're not
because you got to remember, Trump goes in right now as a lame duck. Mm-hmm. I mean, House, Senate, he's got the horses. But in all honesty, your second term as a president, you kind of start out a little bit with that lame duck mentality, and he only gets one term to go fix everything that got screwed up over the last 4 years.
How fast things are going to be? Oh, they're already moving.
They're already moving. Mm-hmm. They're already moving.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so.
It just seems like the GOP this time around was a little better prepared for almost everything. For
the ground game was better.
For
the early
voting, they were better. The Loth Fair, way better prepared this time around. And anything on Election Day that was going on was taken care of, snapped up, and dispatched and taken care of immediately. So I think the preparation was so much better all around. The leadership of the RNC changing was tectonic. Huge change.
That was huge.
And the reason it was important
and you and a lot of people behind the scenes have been professing to this for a long time that's where the problem lies.
Yes.
Apparently it did.
Yes. And what happened was the new leadership installed then, what they did is they embraced the ground game people who could do that outside of they themselves. And rather than eschewing and marginalizing people like Scott Pressler and Cliff Maloney, they embraced them, they partnered with them, and that's why everything works so smoothly.
Well, so look who Trump for his chief of staff. It's like
Susie Wiles.
Florida ground game.
Mm-hmm.
Florida ground game.
Yeah, a grandma.
He went back
a grandma.
to where's the foundation, who's connected to the constituents.
And he's also a lot more in tune with who is trusted and who is loyal now. And those things, trusted and loyal, absolutely describe Susie Wiles.
Great example last time. It's like Pence's VP. That was a compromise to placate the Republican Party and the old guard that was in charge of the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. That wasn't Trump's pick for VP. That was, how do I make the Republican establishment happy? Because, and don't get me wrong, but, and I'm as conservative as you can be, but whether you're in the Republican camp or the Democratic camp, the establishment comes back to a lot of the same. So his plan to already drain the swamp, which he talked about it last time, but now he actually can make some strides in that.
I'm watching the Senate leadership race now.
Oh, yeah.
Really important.
Tell you what, let's talk about that when we come back. Okay. We got so much to talk about this morning. Oh, by the way, there is this Summit pipeline thing. And something might have happened in South Dakota, which is really
pretty big stuff happened in South Dakota as well.
I'm Steve Boggan along with Lori Hintz. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, brought to you by Big Boy. Just get in line. It moves fast. Trademark Realty, Runnings, your home, farm, and outdoor store, and Silver Ranch. Talk of the Town.
Want to earn some quick cash? Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston are stocking up on cute and cozy fall styles. We pay you on the spot for your gently used name brand clothes and accessories. Plus, while you're here, you can stock up on must-have looks for fall. We're the go-to sustainable shopping spot for teens and young adults. So stop by Plato's Closet today and refresh your wardrobe. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Super Talk. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bachel. I'm Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus, follow all things Beck, and including some carbon solution proposed CO2 pipeline. But there was this little election thing last week. We're kind of fleshing through some of that.
Well, it does have an effect on everything that's going to be happening with this, too. So.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about was, okay, the Republicans have the Senate. The Republican Senate leadership is really a point of discussion within circles right now. Mm-hmm. And is it going to be something fresh and new or something old and stagnant?
Last
is it going to be
check,
established?
There were 3 running for the position.
Well, and South Dakota Senator Thune is one of them.
Correct. And then you've got John Cornyn from Texas, and then you've got Rick Scott from Florida. Oh, my goodness. And he's the MAGA of the guys. He's the guy who is not the old guard.
So how much influence is Trump going to have in that decision?
That's a great question.
That's
a great question.
Oh, and speaking of Senate races.
He's staying out of it, and get this. And Cornyn and Thune are publicly saying, Trump shouldn't really have anything to do with any of this decision. I'm like, oh, right.
Really?
Listen, if you don't think that he just got a mandate, then you better need to shut your pie hole because...
Yeah. And it took him a while, but I would say the culture of the Republican Party has changed. Now, if you're going to clean out the swamp...
Get on the team.
Yeah. And are you going to... And I think that one statement probably hurt Thune more than anything else, is that he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because if you're embracing, hey, we would love the input of the president for...
Get on the team.
Yeah.
Be on the team.
And the
House is, Speaker Johnson is running and re-upping again. So
speaking of Senate races, Montana, Tester out
of. Cheeky beat him. Yeah,
and Tim over there, who's now the senator elect, is just a younger version of J.D. Vance.
Yep.
Another military guy,
yep.
another rock star in the making. You mentioned this in the last segment. Mm-hmm. The Republican bench is looking pretty damn good right now.
It really is. You've got the win in Pennsylvania for McCormick. You've got all of these really big races that were decided by, just a few points in many places, but man, what a mandate. I just can't even wrap my head around it really yet, even after, a full week. It's really going to be incumbent on the Republicans to get their poop in a group collectively.
One of the other discussion points too is Trump's cabinet. We talked a little bit about chief of staff, but, one of the names that has been popped up because I think he inserted himself in that, was our globalist governor, Doug Burgum, whose name is still popping up as a potential cabinet position.
There was a Politico piece that came out on October 19th, and it was very instructive. During the reading of it, I noticed something that just came up a couple of different times. First of all, what they did in this Politico piece is they were surmising, even at that time, if Trump were to win, because it was before the election, who would be in line for various picks for, various things. So the article says Doug Burgum, the North Dakota governor, was floated as a potential Trump pick for vice president or interior secretary earlier in the year. And
can we make him ambassador to Moldova? Maybe?
And his job,
that wouldn't be very fair to Moldova.
As an energy state governor puts him in a good position for the job. Politico reported. North Dakota is the third largest oil producing state.
Okay, energy state governor, but nothing to do with energy. Okay.
So Burgum himself has heaped praise on Harold Ham, but Burgum seems to be hoping for a post with a bigger profile, such as Secretary of State, the article said.
Hell no.
So we'll see what happens there. Energy Secretary under Trump would serve as a measure of his commitment to the fossil fuel industry. But I do have a little inside baseball on that one because the chairman...
It is Moldova.
Well, no.
Darn.
No, but the chairman of the RNC is a man named Michael Whatley. Michael Whatley is very well known for his stances on energy issues in North Carolina, and he has expressed an interest in energy secretary. Seems to me that the job that he did in getting Donald Trump elected would probably merit a look. So that is another possibility for energy secretary. It would be Michael Whatley.
And Whatley's connection is more the mechanics around energy rather than the production of. So when you start talking about the transmission line stuff and how things need to be connected and how portfolios need to be balanced and the operational, that's where his talent lies.
Now, this article also under the section of Energy Secretary, this political article from the 19th of October says Trump, who has called climate change a hoax, is promising to claw back any unspent money Biden secured in the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act and could potentially slow down the pace of loans and grant making. So that's interesting. An additional opinion piece that came out after the election came out on the 6th, and this was in a publication called Business Green, and it's an article written by James Murray, and this is, again, opinion. It is titled, Trump's Victory is a Blow to Global Climate Action, but it's not a knockout. It's no knockout, it says. Everything has changed and nothing has changed. Donald Trump's victory, in the end, completed by a comfortable margin, will now tear like a hurricane through U.S. and global climate efforts, James Murray writes for Business Green. Comforting assumptions about the inevitability of progressive values, the strength of NATO, and the primacy of liberal democracy will be demolished in its wake.
Oh, not democracy. Liberal democracy.
That's right. And little later in the article, I highlighted something. It says governments and businesses will once again reach out to work with the U.S. states that continue to advance American decarbonization efforts throughout Trump's first term. The Chinese government has an explicit strategy to ensure this is China's century, and dominance of booming global clean tech markets is critical to that goal. It is not about to tear up that plan because of a trade war with the U.S. And then it goes on later to say the threat Trump poses to global climate efforts comes not from the direct impact he will have by rowing back on U.S. decarbonization policies, and more from the indirect impact he could have if his isolationist philosophy and volatile personality trigger a full-blown economic crisis, or worse still, a major conflict. That was an interesting statement to me.
The major conflict of the liberal side, because they're the ones that are big proponents, because I don't think we had a conflict under Trump.
Zero
before.
Conflicts.
Yeah, and how many now? A lot.
So like multiple.
Okay, so my takeaway on that, though, is like, really? You got your undies in a bunch because clean energy in the form of traditional energy sources, coal, gas, natural gas, oil, and the clean production of those versus the dirty production of a new, dirty, unfettered coal-fired power plant coming online in China or India every day without the environmental side of it, without the clean component. Build those in the U.S. and produce it cleanly, or build them somewhere else and make the U.S. do green things. And so
I thought that was a really interesting article, too. I thought it the same way. It totally missed the mark with me because it was spewing some, liberal
spewing, but not here, there.
Yep.
This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Without apology, The Regular Joe Show with Joe Gigante. Weekday evenings at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app. Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to BeckTV.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions proposed CO2 pipeline. We're going to get back to that in just a few minutes.
Well, we talked about the implications on the national level.
Well, and now we're going to start talking about local level.
And the states, too.
Look for something coming out from the Public Service Commission very soon, because Well, Randy Chrisman got reelected, so now there's no waves to...
Right, so they selected, of course...
You got to remember, this is the only statewide elected position in North Dakota that's an incumbent has never lost.
Yeah, and it's 6 years long. It's a 6-year term.
The incumbent has never
everything
lost.
else is more 2 or 4 years or things like that.
Yeah.
So, but voters selected the chair of the 3-person North Dakota Public Service Commission to serve another term. It was 70% to 30%. Republican Randy Chrisman defeated Democratic NPL challenger Tracy Wilkie in that election, and
I think that's. I legitimately think that's part of the reason we haven't heard anything from the Public Service Commission on a decision yet.
Yeah,
they were waiting for the election to be over.
Well, he voted against a permit for the Summit Pipeline project last year, but the PSC agreed, of course, to let Summit revise its application, and another vote is expected soon. And we're just waiting on the announcement at this point too. Probably not on a holiday on Veterans Day, but it'll probably be very soon. He's a rancher, of course, from the Hazen area. Didn't indicate which way he was leaning before the election, as he should. You know, he should recuse himself from speaking at least of it and that
way. If you think about it,
and he did. He's always been really good about that.
Yes, and full disclosure, I consider Randy a friend, but of all the positions in North Dakota for elected positions that are partisan, nonpartisan, if you think about it, Public Service Commission really should be a nonpartisan position because you're making decisions for all of North Dakota. And the Public Service Commission, and
I've always wondered that too.
Well,
they do that with DPI, which is a nonpartisan one, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly.
Again, right?
But if you take a look at, and this is where now Senator Kramer, when previous program I used to have him on very regularly, and he embraced it, was because he understood, and I understood the importance to, if you're a resident, taxpayer, citizen of North Dakota, the Public Service Commission has way more sway than anybody thinks, because something in your life they touch an aspect of. Public Service Commission is important. It's Industrial Commission, Public Service Commission to me. Those are the two that are very important. If you live in North Dakota, they affect your lives directly. Election
night, Jeff Beach from the North Dakota Monitor put this article out about Chrisman winning, and in it he noted that the PSC has citing authority over the pipeline that would move carbon emissions from ethanol plants in 5 states to a permanent underground storage area in central North Dakota. He also mentioned in the article at the end that Chrisman was first elected to the PSC in 2012, which is 12 years ago. So he served 2 terms already. This will be his 3rd term. He was reelected in 2018. Republicans hold all 3 seats on the commission presently. So.
All right, so let's go to the other big election news, and this is not North Dakota.
No, and this is a big
deal. Way, congratulations to Kelly Armstrong.
Yes, and there's that too. We're real happy for him. South Dakota is... it's been very volatile in South Dakota, but South Dakota had passed a bill, and this law was deemed the Landowner Bill of Rights, which was a misnomer. And
which you can call it anything you want. It was anything but.
Exactly. And so landowners delivered a huge blow to Summit Carbon Solutions with the vote on Election Day on the 5th of November, because the proposed $8.9 billion carbon capture pipeline that has polarized the U.S. Corn Belt has hit another setback in the critical state of South Dakota, says a Bloomberg article. At least 60% of South Dakotans voted to repeal a law critics say was meant to ease approval of the project by Summit Carbon Solutions, according to preliminary results of a statewide ballot done on Tuesday's election. The project is the last high-profile carbon pipeline proposal still standing after rivals with similar versions went bust amid opposition from landowners in various Midwestern states. So this is a mandate from the voters that South Dakota is not for sale, according to Carla Lems, Republican state lawmaker. She voted against the law earlier earlier this year. And she told Bloomberg, they understand that our property rights are sacred and that the legislature got it wrong. So now we have to move forward to enact much needed protections. Summit Carbon told Bloomberg it is not deterred by the ballot results and plans to reapply for a state permit. And they gave a specific date, November 19th. So next week, they will be reapplying in South Dakota. Summit has faced a barrage of setbacks since the project was announced in 2021, with the pipeline delayed by at least 2 years. And estimated costs more than doubling. South Dakota last year rejected Summit Carbon's plan to capture emissions from corn ethanol production because the planned route violated county ordinances, such as distances between the pipelines and homes. Opponents call
South Dakota actually pays attention to
yes,
county
they
ordinances?
do. Go
Oh,
figure
wow.
it. Okay, so the final kicker in this is that this is really interesting. The fight to keep the law intact spurred a political campaign that blanketed vote yes ads across the state, with South Dakota-based Poet, LLC, the world's biggest corn ethanol producer, contributing at least $1 million to the cause, according to filings. Abolishing the law likely makes it harder for Summit Carbon to get approval, especially after several incumbent state lawmakers who backed the law and pipeline were defeated earlier this year in Republican primaries. So they've got different people in the legislature now, too. Now, add that to the other story that I read. Yeah.
My one caveat with this is, and this comes back to how short-term memory people have, because there was at the primary, a lot of those Republicans that supported that were primaried out.
Right.
Will that momentum change on the next cycle, or will that momentum continue that we need a change because these people are not the ones representing private property and landowner rights?
Right. A great question about that, too.
Hopefully they remember that, and that role keeps going.
So while this very contentious referred law, RL 21, was going on in South Dakota, the season that led up to the election included some really interesting facts, like, for instance, that massive lobbying effort from Summit Carbon Solutions included a spending of over $3 million to back this referred law 21 carbon capture and storage CCS scheme, they say in Pipeline Fighters Hub. But the Mitchell Now says in an article, Dakota Rural Action is a South Dakota-based organization that had been engaged in a multi-year campaign to ensure, and they did some pre-election ads I'd love to tell you about.
All right, we're going to talk about those ads, because one of the things that I think they had done, which sounds awfully liberal of them, was misinformation and confusing people. And I want to come back and talk about that. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions proposed CO2 pipeline, and we're talking directly about what took place in South Dakota with RL 21. But leading into that, the thing I was hearing from people in South Dakota was like, so if I don't support that,
no?
do I vote no? Do I vote yes? There was this confusion because some of it was the language, but some of it was the ad campaigns that came out that really were trying to steer people erroneously in the wrong direction. There was this smokescreen to create confusion, and it's like, because the way the language was, it's like, okay, if I vote yes, is it yes, I'm supporting it, or yes, I'm trying to get rid of it, or no? People were confused. Of course.
And that's of the deep state, that's the best weapon you've got, is to just confuse the electorate. That's a very common tactic. In South Dakota, we were talking about Dakota Rural Action, which is this organization that has been working on safety, environmental, economic consequences of the proposed CO2 pipeline. So they did an ad campaign. They launched a radio and online video ad campaign to urge South Dakotans to vote no on Referred Law 21, which is voting no rolls it back. They managed to get it to the legislature, then they primaried people, and then Now they need to repeal this law because it was not a landowner's Bill of Rights. There were people who actually called it a summit Bill of Rights, essentially. So this campaign that they had to urge South Dakotans to vote no started with paid for by Dakota Rural Action. The ad used an actual 911 recording. They used 911 recordings from that 2020 carbon capture rupture in Satartia, Mississippi, to highlight the serious dangers to human life, including to first responders posed by an explosive release, of course, of toxic CO2 by these highly pressurized pipelines. So in the radio ad that launched on radio stations across the state, it included a video version that was then promoted on Facebook and YouTube, where people are all the time. And the narrator described what happened during the 2020 incident in Satartia, Mississippi. And that was, of course, a Denbury Resources one, now a unit of Exxon. It ruptured, causing an explosive release of CO2, an immense plume, later found by a government-issued report to be toxic for more than a mile from the site of the accident, which was caused by a weld failure following the landslide after some heavy rain. Now, all of these things, these scenarios, are entirely possible in South Dakota and in North Dakota as well. The ad then cut to a 911 recording from a victim who was concerned and confused about what's happening after the car had stalled, and a direct result of the high CO2 concentration making the combustion engine non-functional, which is what happens in a situation like that. Her friend was having what she believed was a seizure. So all of this is what people in South Dakota actually got to hear, probably for the first time, because of the statewide effort with the radio campaign, and people reacted with a 60-40 rejection of RL21.
So in the landscape of everything, and we can talk about what's going to happen with the Public Service Commission here in North Dakota, what's going on down in Iowa, and I've heard a lot of people talking about this is the stopgap. Well, is it? Because Summit's coming back with a new permit, or do they just reroute the line and say, screw South Dakota? Because I could very easily see them coming up through Iowa into Minnesota and across in North Dakota. Or if you take a look at the landscape, while we think Wyoming is very conservative and very, very energy friendly, they're also very cognizant of, oh, we can get money from this.
Isn't everyone? I mean,
but that's,
all the states are
part of this
right.
In North Dakota. But so I've heard that, well, there's a pathway they could go through Nebraska and up, and maybe pick up a few more plants. So,
are you giving them ideas purposely on the radio? Or
this has been coming around in circles in different talking groups, and I could see the Minnesota one happening really easy.
And it does not appear,
which I'm okay with if they go up and then maybe through Fargo and I-20.
I would not ever advocate for that type of a pipeline going that near that large of a population.
No population at all.
In no way would that be a good idea.
But there's no qualms about it running by Bismarck.
Agreed. That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
But the point is, stay away from populations,
right.
Whether it goes through or not. Work with the landowners. Have a good relationship with landowners. If they don't want it near them, fine, because this isn't a NIMBY issue, but don't go by population centers either.
Right.
This is something that's dangerous.
Well, and now that people in South Dakota are aware of that, what's interesting is it doesn't ever appear to be a deterrent to the company. Their plans continue to move forward. They've given you a specific date that they're actually going to reapply. They have made it very clear that this doesn't bother us at all. That they have no plans whatsoever to waver on this. Subjecting human and animal life to a dangerous CO2 pipeline so a private company and a few individuals could profit from a subsidized boondoggle is abhorrent. What happened in Satartia should never be allowed to happen anywhere else. That's why thousands of friends and neighbors are saying not here, not anywhere to Summit Carbon's proposed pipeline, according to Ed Fishbach. Ed Fishbach is a South Dakota landowner impacted by the proposed Summit CO2 pipeline.
So coming full circle, this is why it's so vitally important. Remember, Q45 credits, this is what's based off of, that started under the previous to Trump, but got going with Trump. It really got some, and then Biden took it on steroids. That's why the cabinet secretaries for Secretary of Interior and Secretary of Energy are so vitally important, because it's going to wind up going, is it about the landowner rights, or is there an agenda? And if you get a little snake like Doug Burgum sneaking in there into one of those key positions, it's business as usual. Because I would think that the president would trust a cabinet position to go manage your stuff and take care of your stuff. And I know you can't speak on that, but I've got a high opinion.
I can read the article. I mean, the piece that was in Politico, I can refer to that, because that is actually going by, what they have done some reporting on it, and they see he is in line for either Interior Secretary or Energy Secretary, according to Politico, if they are correct with their reporting. It also says under Doug Burgum's bio in this article that the North Dakota governor's name has already emerged for a role in the next Trump administration, even by the former president himself, since he ran an energy-focused presidential campaign in the GOP primary. Burgum probably knows more about energy than anybody I know, Trump said at a rally earlier this year.
Trump needs to meet more people. I'm just saying. Lori, always a pleasure. Happy Veterans Day for
thank you very
everybody
much
out there.
And thank you to all of our veterans who are amazing.
Thank you for your service. So this is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app. The Talk lineup is on Super Talk 1270. Check out the program schedule at supertalk1270.com and on the free Super Talk 1270 app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken along with Sherry Hoppert, and you might know her better as Public Service Commission here in North Dakota. She's one of the commissioners, but she also has another hat she wears. Well, she's got a lot of different hats. In fact, she brought me a hat, which is kind of nice too. But she does wear a lot of hats, and one of the things that Christmas time means is the wreaths out at the Veterans Cemetery. That's one of those big events that, if you haven't been part of it, always a good time to go out there and pay a little homage to our veterans and really, really have a deep meaning of what that means. And in the past, I know families get together. It's part of their Christmas rituals and their protocols that they do over Christmas. It's like kids come back from college. It's like, okay, well, that's what we do as a family. That's one of the events. But you guys have run into a little bit of a shortfall this time around. Always had a great turnout, great support. Always had a little bit of a reserve in the past that's been able to manage this. But as our veteran cemetery has grown, now we are at the point where we have to replace some wreaths, and they cost money and they're getting more expensive, just like everything else has.
That's correct, Steve. Generally, going into this time of the year, our reserves have been pretty good. But we do fundraising every single year. We look for sponsorships for a wreath, but this year we're down some. We're down more, so we're really...
Costs go up and support either stays the same or maybe lags a little bit, and that means there's a problem.
That's correct. Our wreaths did go up last year. They're $17 a piece. We have to place our order by December 1st, and they get trucked in, all the wreaths. And it is our goal to have a wreath purchase for every headstone out at the Veterans Cemetery.
So what does that mean for listeners out there? How many wreaths do you guys put on the headstones?
Right now, we need 9,000 wreaths. And I don't know the exact amount where we're at, but I would say we need to raise money to cover every headstone right now out at the Veterans Cemetery. So I'm going to put the goal out there. We need to raise money to cover 9,000 headstones out there in wreaths.
One of the cool things, too, because we have veterans from across the state that are out at the Veterans Cemetery. And, you know, when you have a loved one that is entombed somewhere other than the hometown, and that means somebody has to kind of take care of them. And I have talked to more families that have come and visited during this time because they're so happy to see that what the community, the Bismarck Mandan community does with wreaths across America, making sure that every one of those headstones has a wreath. It's just a phenomenal sight.
It is. And on December 14th will be the program on placing the wreath. First, there's a program, and every branch is represented. And then family members or friends, whoever donated a wreath for a specific headstone, there's an opportunity for those who have purchased a wreath to first go out there and place the wreath on their loved ones. We do a call out to a lot of volunteers that day because it takes a lot of people, and the volunteerism is just outstanding. And then after the families or those that have purchased a wreath for a designated headstone, then the rest of the volunteers go out and we make sure a wreath is placed at every headstone. And in order for us to do it, for every headstone, we do count on donations. And again, each wreath is $17.
So I want to give a little shout out to the volunteers because this doesn't happen without the volunteers. And whether it's somebody going online, we'll talk about that in a minute, and giving a monetary donation, volunteerism, helping out. But you've got a lot of families, a lot of service organizations and service groups, and of course the Civil Air Patrol really does an amazing job orchestrating all of this.
That's correct. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to the Civil Air Patrol that organizes this. They do all the logistics on opening up the donations, keeping us informed, ordering the wreaths, having horse trailers there where the wreaths are. So strategically, throughout the Veterans Cemetery, there will be horse trailers set up where volunteers can go and get the wreaths. And we've had in the past a lot of snow. So people have been out there shoveling snow away from the headstones so family members can see where their loved ones are at. And for us volunteers who are placing wreaths, they are placed strategically in an orderly fashion on each headstone. And I've seen organizations, individuals, Boy Scout troops out there. We are so thankful for all the volunteers that come out and support Wreaths Across America on placing those wreaths.
So do you have any sway with the weather this year? Because I've been out there when it's been freezing rain and heavy snow and freezing cold and T-shirts. So, a little bit of everything. So, you know.
One of the hats I have, Steve, does not control the weather. Like you, I've been out there like a nice fall day, and there are other days the only thing that you could see is the white of my eyes. And this is where I'll also say the Civil Air Patrol does good monitoring of weather, and safety is always first. One of the things with the event on December 14th, we asked people to carpool because parking is not in abundance. So if you could carpool, bring your whole family out there, bring your neighbor, your friends, whoever, come on out and help support placing of the wreaths on December 14th at 11 a.m.
How do people volunteer if they want to give their time? And we'll get into the financial aspect here in a second. But if somebody wants to volunteer placing wreaths or helping, you know, if we got a lot of snow, cleaning some of that stuff off, how do they do that? Because
they show up.
Just show up.
They show up that day by 11. The program's going to start at 11. So again, grab a car full of friends, family, come out, carpool, but be out at the North Dakota Veterans Cemetery by 11 a.m. Participate in the program and then the placing of the wreath.
All right, now, like we said, the cost of the wreaths have gone up, just like everything else has gone up lately, and that's put you guys in a little bit of a financial strain to make sure that every veteran is covered with a wreath. Every veteran's headstone out there has a wreath on it. So what's the process if somebody wants to donate the $17 for a wreath, or they have somebody in particular they want to make sure a wreath is taken care of? How do you go through that process?
Well, there's two ways. First of all, you can send a check and you send it to, so I'm just going to pause, go get a pen and piece of paper. Wreath Across America, care of Bismarck Civil Air Patrol, P.O. Box 2104, Bismarck, North Dakota 58502. The one thing I'm going to say, emphasize, do not call the North Dakota Veterans Cemetery for information or dropping checks off there. There's two ways to sponsor, either by mail or online. It's PayPal. And I'm going to give you a website to go, and it's pretty easy to follow, but there are steps. It's nd030.cap. That's C as in cat, A as in apple, P as in Paul.gov. And that's going to bring you to the website, and there's going to be how to sponsor a wreath, but you're going to go down to PayPal and go on to there. And please note, you don't need an account. You can sign on as a guest. And on that site, you're going to have, it's going to be the Bismarck location. You can identify if you want to give to a certain person. And then it's going to be how many wreaths do you want to sponsor? And you're going to give a credit card number. But please note, you could sign on as a guest and sponsor a wreath through PayPal.
Sherry, thanks for coming in. nd030.cap.gov.
That's correct.
Perfect. Hey, if you can help out, great way to give back this Christmas season, especially back to the veterans. And thank you to you and the Civil Air Patrol for doing a great job with Wreaths Across America and out at our Veterans Cemetery, making sure every veteran out there has a wreath on their headstone. Once again, that website, nd030.cap.gov. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 20. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken along with Julie Jeske, and of course, Provera Bank is her normal hat. You got a lot of hats, actually.
I have a lot of hats,
Park
but
District,
I have a big head, so I'm happy.
You were kind enough to hop on board with something I started when I was mayor of Bismarck, Capital City Christmas, and we are getting right down to the wire. Of course, it really all starts with the Breakfast with Santa event, which has grown into just under your watch. That has turned into just a jewel for the community.
Well, thank you, Steve. It's been a labor of love, and I was part of Breakfast with Santa in Jamestown, and I started it in Grand Forks. And then when you came to the event center and started talking about looking to do an event to really kick off the holidays here in Bismarck.
Something for the community.
Yes, something for the community.
Not to slight our friends in Mandan, but you don't get all the cool stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, I know. Well, people from Mandan definitely can come to Breakfast with Santa, and we get people from all over. We have relatives that are coming from Kansas. They come to Breakfast with Santa.
So it's Small Business Saturday. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and the cool part is, I talk to people from Minot and Williston that come to Bismarck and Mandan and come to our community to go shopping that Saturday. And this is part of the event. I mean, they come, bring their kids, go shop the rest of the day. And it is such a cool event, and people come from all over.
Yeah, we really do get people from...
And those tickets do sell out very fast.
And they're so reasonable. I mean, where else can you go and can you have feed your child for $10 for breakfast, and breakfast is pancakes, French toast, eggs,
sausage,
bananas. Yeah, we've got sausage. We have donuts from Bear Scat Donuts. There is milk, and there's other beverages too. And then plus you can make a toy from Lowe's. Lowe's donates the DIY kits, so you can put together a wonderful little toy. Those kits alone, I think, retail at $15. So you can work on your child with one of those. We've got another little craft that they can make. It's a cute little snowman made out of a terracotta pot. You can bounce on the bouncy houses from the Larks. And then the biggest thing is you get a chance to see Santa and Mrs. Claus, and your child can have a little lap time with them, tell them what they're looking for Christmas. We've got a great silent
Write a letter
auction.
to Santa?
Well, that we're not doing this year. So we've cut that back just because postage has gotten a little expensive.
Okay.
And honestly, it's really hard to read everyone's handwriting. So I spent hours trying to decipher, and sometimes I didn't
Santa
get.
and Mrs. Claus are getting a little thicker. So
Yeah.
their glasses are getting a little thicker. So.
Yeah, it's a little harder for them to decipher people's handwriting. So, but we've got so many things that they can do that morning, and then we go into the afternoon. So from 5:30 to 6:30.
Well, and there's games for the kids too, all throughout the day and during the event, and so much fun stuff. And now things have changed a little bit. So, by the way, where do people get their tickets for Breakfast with Santa? Because those do go very fast and they do sell out.
Yeah, and we are setting for 600 this year, and we are pretty close to 400 tickets sold already for Breakfast with Santa alone. So please don't wait. If you want to take your child to Breakfast with Santa, don't walk in Saturday morning. I'll guarantee you we will be sold out. We try and accommodate people who do walk in just because it would be so disappointing for these children not to be able to see Santa, but we really want to cap this at 600 this year. So the best place to buy them, honestly, is go to the Event Center's box office. I think they open up at 10 or 11 in the morning. Check their website for it. Then you don't have to pay fees. You can always buy them online, but if you want to save a little bit of money, you can walk into the Event Center box office and buy your tickets directly there.
And you mentioned the ticket price, just $10, and the kids get so much.
Yeah, $10 for children, $12 for adults. I mean, a donut nowadays is going to cost you $3. So yeah, it really is a good value. We keep it low. We have great sponsors, and so they enable us to keep this at a great price point so that people who want to attend can attend. And then in the afternoon from 5:30 to 6, so after Breakfast with Santa, we'll probably wrap up about 12:30. You can go shop downtown, and then you can turn around and come back at 5:30. We've got our tree lighting, which takes place in the Baga parking lot, and that's from 5:30 till 6:30.
So Peace Park is decorated, so all the lights there are part of Capital City Christmas. Then, of course, that big Christmas tree that's so beautiful right in front of Baga, and usually there's a little visit from somebody.
We are fortunate enough that sometimes Santa comes back in a horse-drawn sleigh just to make one more trip to Bismarck before him and Mrs. Claus head back to the North Pole.
So such a great day. Now, things change a little bit because in the past, we've always done, and this kind of harkens back to the first year we did this because we had a little mingle at the event center. I remember, God, we had a lot of snow that year.
Oh, I think we had 19 inches. Yeah, we were setting up that morning,
blizzard.
And yeah, we're going through the parking lot, and I'm like, are you guys gonna get this parking lot plowed before people start showing up at 9 a.m.? So.
But we had a little Christmas mingle afterwards, so they left the inflatables up for the kids, and that was a fun little event. But we've kind of changed it. We're not doing the big New Year's Eve gala this year, which just trying something a little bit different. We kind of went back to the mingle, so we're going to do everything on that Small Business Saturday, and that includes a bigger holiday mingle with the raffles and the silent auction and all of the things that go along with that, the bourbon and wine pull, the games, the adult entertainment, but we're incorporating stuff for the kids as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a family-friendly event. It's from 6:30 to 9, and that is again at the Event Center. You can get your tickets online, or you can buy them at the Event Center box office.
And that's a separate ticket from Breakfast with Santa.
So that's $15 for children. 1 and under, they're free. And then the adults are $20. But here's what you get for that $20. Again, it's a great value. So you'll you'll have the inflatables for the kids. You'll have a chance to shop at our silent auction, and that is going online November 18th. So probably a week from Monday, that'll go online. You can... We've got a great comfort food buffet, I call it, because I'm a big fan of mac and cheese. So we're going to have mac and cheese with a variety of toppings. We've got baked beans. Mac? I don't know. I will definitely ask Anthony at the event center. It'd be nice if that was a topping. I might have a request. Yeah. And then we'll have pulled pork barbecue, and we'll have a bun. So $15 for children, $20 for adults. For the adults, there is free beer. So that's kind of a nice thing. We're going to have a wonderful milk bar.
And entertainment.
And entertainment. Thank you for mentioning that. We'll have Overeducated is our band that night. So you have a chance to dance, you have a chance to eat, you have a chance to visit our silent auction. You can participate in our wine and our bourbon pull. We will have Snowflake Salon. So it's a salon. You pay $6, but you can go in and have hair tinsel added to your hair. You can have your character drawn. That is this additional $6, but where can you get a character drawn for just $6 per person? You can have a balloon animal or art made for $1 per person, and we will have a horse-drawn sleigh ride that you can participate to. So some of the events are free that day, additional cost for some of the events like the sleigh ride, but still a really good value. And it all goes to such a great cause.
All these different charities that Capital City Christmas helps around the community, just phenomenal. So Breakfast with Santa, get your tickets early on that because those do sell out quickly. The Christmas Mingle, get your tickets for that. The two free events on Small Business Saturday are the tree lighting in the Baga parking lot. And then there's a little something that a lot of people show up to for New Year's, but we're not doing it on New Year's this year. We're doing it on that Small Business Saturday, and that's the fireworks show.
Right, and we put on, I would say, probably one of the best fireworks shows. Yeah.
Memory Fireworks does such an amazing job with that. Yeah. So it is going to be a great night. It's going to be a busy day.
It's going to be, we've been advertising it as one day of holiday magic. And I've kind of changed the wording to just, one day of holiday madness for our committee members. But we're up to the challenge, and we are so excited to be doing this. But, yeah, the fireworks is going to be at 9:15 ish. It might be 9:30, but 9:15, and that's going to take place at the Event Center parking lot. So.
It's going to be a fun day, and it is all in one day. So it's going to be an action-packed, very full day. Julie, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Steve, for having me on.
Once again, best place to get tickets?
You can go to the Bismarck Event Center box office, check their website for the hours, or you can order them online. There are additional fees if you do order online.
Capital City Christmas, Small Business Saturday coming up on Saturday, November 30th. Get your tickets for that. It's going to be a fun day. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
To Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach, and joining us in the program, Steve Schwann. And, of course, as we get towards Thanksgiving and the holiday season, we start talking about veterans and all kinds of cool stuff for the veterans because they earned it, plain and simple. And one of the coolest events, Steve Schwann, you've been a part of this for a long time.
Yes, it's our 14th year. We're really excited about it.
Wow, I remember when it started, and it has grown and grown and grown. Absolutely phenomenal.
That's right, and every year it gets better. It really does. Yelps does a fantastic job, and we're all excited about it. We've got tickets available yet at Northwest Contracting, H.A. Thompson and Sons, First International Bank, and of course Schwann Buick GMC, Valley Sport and Marine, and Action Movers.
Now, when we're talking about this event growing and getting bigger and better every year, and you're kind of capped on the numbers, so those tickets, they go fast. So if you haven't picked up tickets, you're a veteran, get those tickets now. But I always...
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. It's for first responders also.
Yep, first responders
that's
as well.
A big key. We love to see those guys there, too, and people there.
Now, I want to back up a little bit and tell our listeners where this concept came from, because this is just some guys getting together... I believe you guys were over coffee or something and said, hey, what can we do, right?
Well, we were actually over a beer at the Elks Club.
Well, that works too. Okay.
And Bruce Benz and that was 14 years ago. And again, it was this thing we started out, I think, at 200 people, and now we're at 1,200 vets. and it's just a lot of fun. It really is.
So walk us through what the day looks like, because you guys start cooking early and the food is phenomenal, and it's about giving back to the veterans and the first
That's
responders.
Right. First responders, yeah. And it's November 14th. We have 3 feeding times. Tickets are available for the 10:30 to 11:30, 11:30 to 12:30, and 12:30 to 1:30. And, so we have 3 buffet lines. It goes fast. Great food. We got green beans this year instead of corn. So with the turkey and all the trimmings, so everybody's excited about that. And it's just a great day.
So did you ever think that this would grow into the event that it's grown into? I mean, you got some great partnerships. You got some great relationships with the business community and service groups. And the Elks, of course, do a phenomenal job helping put this on. But, sitting over a beer at the Elks Club, did you ever think this has turned into what it's turned into?
No, we thought, that 200 mark, I think it was 203. I said, well, this is going to be, wow, this is really going to be great. And, of course, we kept going. And we just got to cap it at a certain point because we just don't have the facility for it anymore. But it goes so smooth and fast. People can get in there and eat in 25, 30 minutes and be out the door and have a great meal on us and get to see some of their old friends. And that's the greatest thing. We've got relationships that we've built over 14 years. So some of the guys I don't see anymore, unfortunately, they've passed on, but there's a lot of people that still come back, and we got new people coming, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it's really cool because you see the same people that get out of the house and come up for it. I remember a couple of years ago, big blizzard, and you managed through that.
Yeah, big blizzard, froze all the food, served it like 8-9 days later, and it all worked out. Had a great crowd. It was great. It was fun.
So you're just about out of tickets. You're getting down there. So if you want to get your tickets, make sure you get them now because they are going fast. Steve, once again, is there a website, Facebook page? How do people find out more information? If people want to help, how do they get involved?
Well, I'll tell you what, our staff look forward to helping every year, and it's just been great. And so we've got plenty of staff to help. I just think that if we can get all the vets that want these tickets and get them in there to the Elks Club and have a good time. We've also got the honor flight that's going to be there this year. They're going to have a table set up, so if somebody wants to sign up on that honor flight thing that hasn't had the possibility of going, they're going to be there to help them out with that. And these tickets are available at Northwest Contracting, H.A. Thompson & Sons, First International Bank, Schwann Buick GMC, Valley Sport Marine, and Action Movers.
Great opportunity to give back to veterans. If you want more information, contact any one of those businesses. They'll have all the information. And you mentioned the honor flight, which I was honored to go on and help out some of the veterans on a flight earlier this spring. It just phenomenal trip. It was just unbelievable. And you can go look at all the memorials that you want in D.C., but until you go with the veterans, the guys that served, the guys that they were built for, it's just a humbling experience. So, again, thank you for what you do with Feeding the Veterans on November 14th. 3 different sessions. 2 of them are sold out, right, as far as tickets?
Well, the ones 11:30, 12:30 go probably the fastest. But I'll tell you what, the best time to come in is 12:30 to 1:30.
Well, yeah, because if there's any leftovers, you get seconds, right?
Well, you can have all you want. It's just a lot of fun. Beat the rush there, and everybody comes in. And, it just goes so smooth. It's fun to work. I tell you one thing, when I'm done with that day, I'm played out.
Well, and you mentioned the last session, which is actually the funnest one to be at because the other 2, you're kind of hurried along. But people get to hang out and visit and chat, and you can hear stories, and it is absolutely phenomenal, that last one, because there's no rush at that point. So, again, Steve Schwann over at Schwann GMC Buick Cadillac, thank you very much for what you do. You guys do such a great job helping out our veterans.
Well, thank you guys for helping us out on this thing, and hopefully we see you there.
All right. Thank you much. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, get them now because they do go fast. There's still a few tickets available. 3 sessions to Feed the Veterans over at the Elks on November 14th. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
1270. Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Superblock 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach along with Kev from Runnings, and happy Veterans Day, by the way.
And to you and to all of our veterans, buddy. What a great day in our country.
It is. And if you know a veteran, stop by, say hi, thank them for their service. That's what today is all about. I don't think we take pause enough in this country. North Dakota, I know we do, but across the country, there's just not enough for the veterans, and any opportunity to give back, it's incumbent upon us to say thank you.
It is, and it kind of in my old age, unfortunately, I go all the way back, of course, to the Vietnam, that post-Vietnam, and I don't think any of our guys have really gotten the true thanks. But the neat thing is, I had one yesterday, a gentleman who called me back at the store. He said, "Thank you, Kev, because you were sincere in your appreciation to me and my friend." And I said, you know what? Like you said, North Dakota, I think we've always been sincere and that, because these guys gave up a lot for us. And we should be proud of that every day, not just today.
You mentioned the welcome home, and that's, my wife and I are involved with the honor flight and help out as much as we can. And the best part of the trip for me, and I've had the privilege and honor of being able to go on an honor flight with the veterans, which is amazing when you're at the memorial, especially the Vietnam era ones that were the ones that got spit on and derogatory when they got back. They didn't get that welcome home. They were told, change out of your uniform into civilian clothes before you land, because you're not going to like it. And the welcome that Bismarck gives the veterans when they come back, and it's that welcome home they didn't get. Yeah. It's so amazing. Yeah. Got to shift gears here because we're short on time, but Running's great company that goes out of their way to give back to veterans, and
absolutely,
you guys run a Veterans Day sale on Veterans Day. For the veterans. I mean, it's for everybody, but you run a lot of great specials out there, and Runnings goes out of their way to make sure the veterans are taken care of.
It does. They're a vital part of us. They're more than just a customer, I mean, they are our friends. They are the people that we believe in, and all of our customers we just totally appreciate. But today's just that little extra day that we can give out to them and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for your commitment and your loyalty to our country. Of course, with me, with the sporting goods size, these guys, they gave us the right. We hear bear arms and all that, all of our rights. Well, these guys stood up for our rights across the world, and hunting season in North Dakota right now, and of course, that's my love and passion. Thank you guys for giving us all the opportunity to be able to go out there in the beautiful outdoors of North Dakota and do what we love to do.
Well, great place to start right there is with sporting goods, and you are in the same boat I am. We didn't get our deer this weekend.
Nope, not this weekend. We spared them, or we spared ourselves a lot of work.
Although I was looking in the flyer, and one of the things a lot of people, although it'd be a little tough this year because there's no snow,
right?
You got a great deal on the jet sled. So if you're planning on picking up harvesting your animal during archery season, and a lot of guys kind of wait until the end and want to get out there because they're looking for that trophy buck. You got to have one of these, because dragon, that's old.
They're lifesavers.
Throw them in the sled, and we'll probably have snow by then.
And of course, we're North Dakota. So, wait around. The weather's going to change at any given time, but it just makes it a lot easier to drag these in. These are sturdy. I mean, these things are sturdy enough. Well, when the season's over and the grandkids or the kids want to toboggan down the hill, put them in this puppy. It works great, but it just makes it easier. And a lot of the things that we have in here, the knife cleaning kits and all that, do it properly and do it easy. And the knife kits that we have on sale right now are phenomenal.
Well, and one of the things I saw that you have too is, besides the kit, you've got the replaceable blade knife, because a lot of guys have gone to that where it's that surgical steel and you don't sharpen the blade, you just replace the blade.
Just replace it. The crazy thing is
it's always sharp.
It's always sharp. And I've tested these, and you can hone these things out. I mean, so you can get even more longevity. But the ease of it is pop it out, put a fresh one in. You know,
when you're out in the field, you're not bringing your honing stone.
No, you're not. So bring the extra blades, and there's a great little pouch on most of them that you can put the blades in, you know, and they are so sharp, so easy. The only thing I wish was on there, Sagan saws. And anybody who has hunted enough deer in North Dakota, they know what a Sagan saw is. You know, that pelvis is the toughest part of the deer. That thing is a lifesaver.
And I will throw
this
out there, that I've had some knockoff ones.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't work.
They don't work.
They're not the same. You have to go with the Sagan saw, which you've got a Runnings. They're just not part of the flyer right now. Yeah. Trail cams, of course, footwear. You know, great line of muck boots, both for hunting. If you're a waterfowl guy, you got to have a good pair of muck boots, or whether you're farming and ranching.
Even all of it, you know, it's kind of funny. You're either going to lose your heat through your head, keep your head covered, and we've got lots of great head coverings that are going to do that. But you got to keep those feet warm. You got to keep them dry. And you're not going to get any better than muck boots. You know, I mean, I think just about everybody has a pair. The ones that don't, and they try them, it's like, wow, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
I should have bought this quite a while ago.
Yeah. You know, they're just great lifesavers. It's all a part of that preparation. You know, you have the right firearm, you have the right clothing, you have the right boots, you have the right gloves, the hats, all of that. It just makes the whole story that much more enjoyable.
So we've got hunting, we've got farming and ranching, we've got pet supplies as always. Great lineup. Here's shoes, jackets, and gloves. I'm my wife gives me crap
about that. That's your fetish?
Yeah, I am. I'm a shoe whore and a jacket whore and a glove. I every year, it's kind of a tradition. I always get the good pair of grips, leather lined gloves. Yep. Even if I didn't wear the ones out the year before, that's kind of my thing. I always get a new pair. You got those on sale now too.
We do. And you know what? You're wearing Carhartt today.
I am.
I tell you what, those Carhartt jackets shed the wind so well.
And this is part of the Rain Defender series.
Right.
So this is
totally 100%.
Oh, last week when it was raining, I was outside working in the yard because I had to do some stuff, and perfectly dry. Perfectly dry.
And it just insulates you so well. It's amazing when people try these. They're so light, they're thinking, well, this isn't going to do nothing. Oh, yeah, they do. They're made for that dryness, but they're made to retain that heat.
Well, even if you're going out hunting, you know, everybody layers up. It's
everybody.
Like I leave the hunting section, go over and make sure I've got the Carhartt stuff. So that's my layering underneath all of my hunting gear.
Yeah.
So
it's great gear.
Great deals going on today with the Veterans Flyer, of course, at Runnings. 82 stores. Of course, they acquired the Home of Economy chain, which is big in North Dakota. Yep. Brad's actually up in Williston today working on that store. So, Kev, thanks for coming in this morning.
You know what? I love it. And again, thank you, veterans. I mean, we appreciate you so much. And you know, come in anytime, not just today, because we always take care of our veterans.
This is Talk of the Town with Runnings, 701 South Washington in Bismarck on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.